Welcome back to the Pro Football Pod. You got me, Coach, giving you a little solo video. We've got a little bit of news coming in from the Stratosphere, and George Pickens has recently been traded to the Dallas Cowboys. And there's a lot of implications as to, what this is going to mean for the Dallas Cowboys as well as the Pittsburgh Steelers. Of all places that needed a wide receiver badly enough to trade for a potential problem to the locker room, but also have the type of veteran presence to be able to handle those issues. I think Dallas was the absolute perfect decision, perfect place. There's a lot of changes that have been going on with Pittsburgh so far this offseason with adding DK Metcalf. Last year they drafted Roman Wilson in the third round, and they've been trying to add Aaron Rodgers. And it really feels like the adding Aaron Rodgers thing wasn't going to happen. I don't see why you trade away such a valuable player if Aaron Rodgers was going to become an option for you. I'm sure that Aaron Rodgers would love to have George Pickens as a target, and without him and only DK, it doesn't really add much. It seems like it was a bit of a waste for them to get DK in the first place. If they were going to look to kind of slim down their receiver room, DK is not as talented of a player as George Pickens is. Roman Wilson is more of a slot receiver. He's not really going to be that big body, 6'3", 200-pound outside receiver. Pickens is 24 years old. CeeDee Lamb is just now turning 26. So CeeDee Lamb's about to have the best entire season of his career. Based off of his age, 26 is kind of like the physical peak. You're not going to get more quick and have more upside whenever you turn 27, 28. That really is going to be your 26. For a coaching perspective, it's a little bit surprising that a first-time head coach in Schottenheimer is willing to take on a problem player. If Tomlin wasn't capable of getting George Pickens to fall in line, it's a little bit funny to think that this first-time head coach is going to be able to do it easily. I will say from a scheme perspective, George Pickens is 10 times the player that Michael Gallup could ever become. And having him on the opposite side of CD reminds you a lot of the Falcons back in the day whenever they had Roddy White, who was a true blue number one receiver, and then they draft Julio Jones in the first round. And then for the first couple seasons, Julio Jones playing second fiddle to Roddy White, eventually taking over the starting position to be the wide receiver one and the number one target. And Roddy White was still there as a contributor. There's a very small age difference between CD and George Pickens comparatively, but I think that that's a lot of what we could be looking at. Whenever CD's 30 years old, Pickens is going to be 27. That could be, 28. That could be the time for Pickens to be the number one, unless CD has the type of career that we expect. Honestly, CD Lamb is top 3 receiver in the league right now, at least. There's a lot of young people that are coming in with the Malik Neighbors, and now we've got a whole new draft class coming in that are all going to be trying to take the number one spot. I still think Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, they're going to hold on to it for at least another year or two, but it's quickly going away. Dallas re-signing Dak, it seems like it's time to go all in. They also picked up not much, but they picked up a running back. They've got Javonte Williams. They built up their offensive line a little bit. It does really feel like Dallas's offense is going to become an asset. Their defense has been solid for the last couple of years. They just needed to make that final turn. I think the offense should be putting up 25 to 35 points a game at least. It's definitely interesting to see what's going to happen, but my prediction is that Aaron Rodgers is not going to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is not going to tank. They never will. They're always going to remain above a 500 team, but I think that they're just willing to get some assets from a player that's probably going to hit free agency next year and honestly would be the number one free agent target. why would a team not trade a third-round pick to get the number one free agent target next year? Give them an opportunity to develop inside their locker room, give them the opportunity to see that this is the place that they want to be long term, instead of just taking the biggest offer and going to play for whoever has the most money, like the Giants or Cleveland, because their rosters just get turned over year after year. I think that the biggest thing to watch out from a fantasy perspective is Dak's value is going to be viewed as going way up. Hopefully, it doesn't overshoot what he's capable of doing. He's not a running quarterback, so we know that there's always going to be a limitation to what he can do from a fantasy perspective. I think the thing that will happen that'll help is most people will view CeeDee Lamb in a way that they viewed Justin Jefferson last year, and you'll be able to get him for a bit of a steal. I think that his numbers should increase from what he did last year. Not quite to what he did 2 years ago, where he's going for 1,800 yards, but I think that 1,100 yards is definitely a low point for him. I think he'll be closer to the 1,500. And then I think that the touchdowns will still go more to CD than George Pickens. He hasn't been much of a touchdown producer in his career so far. I think what it'll help with is that you can't really just send everybody to CD's side and have the safeties cheating over. They're going to have to play a little bit more of a balanced approach, and it's going to be, who do we want to stop? Do we want to stop CD? Do we want to stop George? And I think that if George can develop a little bit and really showcase what he's capable of, it'll make a big difference for CD, for the running game, for the offense as a whole. But yeah, go ahead and if you're a Cowboys fan or a Pittsburgh fan or just a fan of the sport and fantasy in general, make sure you leave us a subscription. We are going to be giving away free jerseys, stitched jerseys of your choice after we hit 500 subscribers, which we're over halfway at this point. And, leave something down in the comments and let us know what you're thinking. Till next time.